Environmental Monitoring Program. We swab for the following: Salmonella, E. coli, allergens, and APC. To implement and maintain an effective Salmonella and E. coli environmental monitoring program, the primary goal here is to ensure production of safe and wholesome products for our customers. Routine monitoring and as a follow-up investigational monitoring will be applied in the case of positive findings from any routine environmentals identified. Zone 1. This will refer to product contact surfaces or processing utensils and equipment needed to contact foods and their ingredients during production. Zone 1 should not be swabbed for pathogens. Zone 2. These are non-product contact sites directly adjacent to product contact areas. They are less likely to contribute to product contamination during regular operations. However, they could provide a harborage site from which contamination can become established and spread. Zone 3. These are non-product contact areas located inside the processing areas, however, are at a farther distance from product contact sites. Zone 4 shall include areas away from direct manufacturing rooms and equipment. The sites for sampling will be drawn from the points of interest list that had been prepared by our consultant. Zone 1 involves the sampling for APC, or aerobic plate count, to show the effectiveness of sanitation. These swabs are done on the product contact surfaces. The results for Zone 1 sampling need to be trended so that areas of concern can be monitored and corrected as needed. For Zone 1, 1 swab will be on a monthly basis. For Zones 2 to 4, 7 swabs will be taken monthly. These should be divided so that from Zone 2, 2 samples are taken, for Zone 3, 4 samples are taken, and from Zone 4, there is 1 sample taken. In addition to the above 7 samples taken monthly for Salmonella and or E. coli, the employee doing the swabbing shall have 1 to 2 extra swabs for investigative work. For the investigative swabs, areas where there are water leaks, condensation, or other signs of moisture should be considered the best potential for finding positives. After 6 months, the site list can be evaluated by the environmental monitoring team, and some taken off and some others added to the list. Some higher concern areas, such as those where there is moisture present, should stay on the list even though no positives might have been found. The overall number on the list can also go up or down based on the team's recommendations. If the plant goes 3 months without any positives, then the frequency can go to every 2 months, and then again, if there have not been any positives, for another 3 months, the sampling can go to quarterly. At no time should the sampling go less frequent than quarterly. In the event of a positive, if there is a positive for Salmonella or E. coli at any one of the sample points, then the area shall be thoroughly cleaned, sanitized, and re-swabbed. A documented root cause analysis shall take place to determine why the positive occurred, whether it was due to improper cleaning or something else. In addition, 5 additional swabs shall be done in adjacent areas within a 5 to 10 foot radius or where the positive was identified. This is referred to as intensified sampling. This plan shall take place on a weekly basis and continue until there have been 3 consecutive negatives. At that time, routine monthly monitoring can resume. Reoccurrence of positives. If a site has a reoccurrence of positives and sanitation cannot eliminate a site from being positive, then that area must be isolated and daily swabbing of 10 swabs must be done, extending to all adjacent areas until the harborage site can be definitely isolated and identified. At that point, whatever needs to be done must be done, and this could include floor patching, the elimination of water leaks, or any other maintenance task. Good manufacturing practices. The purpose of this policy is to establish the requirement that the facility have an active GMP training and compliance program as required by the Code of Federal Regulations, Title 21, Part 110, Current Good Manufacturing Practices in Manufacturing, Packing, or Holding Human Food. This policy applies to all production, packaging, and warehouse departments and covers all employees, visitors, and contractors. All current and new employees must be trained in the Personnel Standards section of the GMPs. New employees must receive this training prior to commencing work. Such training shall include a written quiz to determine individual proficiency. Every time a new employee is hired, part of the new employee packet does have the personnel requirements section of the GMPs in that packet. So when you fill out your tax information and all that kind of stuff to make sure you're getting paid, that sheet is in there. You should be reviewing that before you come on site. This applies to personnel, building exterior, housekeeping, building interior, maintenance, storage, sanitary facilities, employee facilities, equipment cleaning, pest control, equipment and procedure standards, production, and process control. The personnel section of the GMPs This policy applies to all production, packaging, and warehouse departments and covers all employees, visitors, and contractors. Training. All current and new employees must be trained in the personnel standards section of the GMPs. New employees must receive this training prior to commencing work. Such training shall include a written quiz to determine individual proficiency. Refresher GMP training for each employee shall be conducted at least annually. Such training shall include a written quiz to determine individual proficiency. A copy of the personnel standards section of the GMP standards shall be posted in the lunchroom, and a copy provided to all visitors and contractors. During each training section, all employees being trained shall sign a, quote, sign-in sheet indicating that they were trained on a particular date. Copies of the proficiency test shall be kept in the office for at least 1 year. Personnel standards. Personnel who exhibit evidence of open sores, cuts, rashes, communicable disease, and lack of personal hygiene which could result in possible product contamination shall not be permitted to work in the cooking or packaging areas. Additionally, all personnel in all parts of the facility shall maintain and are responsible for adequate personal cleanliness, defined as follows: wear clean, appropriate clothing. All management, employees, visitors, and contractors shall wear hairnets anytime they enter the plant. Anyone entering the plant that has any form of facial hair must wear a beard guard. This would include sideburns that are excessively bushy or extend below the bottom of the ear, and would include mustaches if the mustache is excessively bushy or if it extends sideways or below the corners of the mouth. Anyone who enters the plant must wash their hands. All employees must thoroughly wash their hands before starting work, after each absence from the workstation, after using the restroom, before returning from breaks and lunch periods, and any time their hands become soiled. Jewelry, watches, rings, necklaces, bracelets, earrings, visible body piercings, and pendants shall be prohibited in the plant. If anyone has a medic alert bracelet or necklace, they will be permitted to wear it under the requirements of the Federal American Disabilities Act. However, the general manager must be aware that an employee, visitor, or contractor is so wearing a medic alert item. When gloves are worn, they must be maintained in a clean manner and be intact. Sanitary gloves must be worn in packaging and cooking when handling any exposed products. Employees must first wash their hands and then put on the gloves. Gloves must be removed and discarded whenever an employee goes on break, then a new pair of gloves must be put on after washing their hands. Personal belongings are to be stored only in designated areas, such as the break room, and must not be stored in production or warehouse areas. This includes lunches, clothing, purses, cell phones, and other personal items. Food, gum, candy, beverages, medications, and all tobacco products shall only be consumed, used, and stored in designated areas, and in no case will any of the areas be where products are produced, packaged, or stored. Bottles or other containers of water are not permitted in the plant. Water fountains are permitted as long as the cups used are pointed at the end, so they cannot be put down on any surface. Items are not to be carried or stored in shirt pockets or in a manner which can allow items to fall onto the product zones. This would include pencils, pens, cigarettes, etc. Employees must wear sturdy shoes. There shall be no high heels, open-toed shoes, or flip-flops permitted in the plant. False nails, long nails, fingernail polish, false eyelashes, and eyelash extensions are not permitted when handling food. If an employee is injured and blood is drawn, the area will be quarantined and cleaned. Any product that may be contaminated will be disposed of and logged.